Okay, can you hear me? Um, Hi, Michael. Olamide, good evening from here.
Good evening.
Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? Or can both of you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, awesome. Hi,
Hello.
Olamide, can you hear me?
Hi, Dai. Awesome.
Uh, please, can you turn on your video?
My video is turned on. I don't know why you can't see me. My video is
Okay,
actually
maybe.
turned on. Let me try to rejoin. My video is turned on actually.
Okay, let me check from my end. Oh, okay, I can see you now.
But I can't see myself. It seems like I'm not on
Oh, okay, maybe you
Zoom.
should go out and then rejoin. Yeah, you can
Okay.
rejoin. Okay, I can see you now. Can you face the light so that we can see you better? You're on mute.
Is it better now?
Yes, slightly better.
Okay.
Okay, awesome.
Is it the sound or the video? I don't get.
The video, the sound is good. Sound is good.
Okay. What can I do to make it better? Okay. Wait, hold on. How about now?
Yeah, I think we can work with this.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so I want us to just spend an hour on this conversation. So we'll start immediately. We put word out, and I really am looking forward to more people joining up. And
Okay.
some people are actually watching on YouTube because we are currently live streaming, while others are going to be joining through Zoom. So thank you
Okay.
once again. Thank you once again, Olamide. I'm really grateful. I mean, we set this date we set it for the beginning of this month, yeah, July 1st. But I couldn't
Yeah.
I couldn't I couldn't go through with it because like I had some health issues. So I
Oh,
had
it's
to
fine.
put it
It's
on a
fine.
pause and then yeah. So starting out, please can you tell us a bit about yourself? Um just general bio sort of so that everyone can get
Okay.
to know you.
Okay. Um, I am Olamide Shubowale. I'm a software engineer. Um, okay, what other information? Sorry. Okay. I'm married.
Well, you're a software engineer. Like, you could tell us a bit about your background in tech, so that,
Oh,
like,
okay. Okay. So, well, currently I'm a software engineer at Google. Subsequently, before Google, I've majorly worked in fintechs in Nigeria. I worked with Carbon. I worked with Timapt. At the point, I worked briefly with Kuda Bank. And I have experience writing majorly Java, any strongly typed language majorly, and I do very well with TypeScript, both front end and back end. And if you want any other question answered, you can ask me.
okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. Thank you. Okay, so let's just go right in. Welcome everyone. I'm sorry I'm not doing like general introductions, but really want to keep this as short as possible. Basically, I want everyone to concentrate, take notes if you have to. And at the end of this, I really hope that we could have like some 10 minutes to answer questions from other people, right? So, but I'm going to be taking Olamide through a list of questions um, just to guide the wisdom you'll be sharing with us. So so that we can all like gain the maximum benefit from this session. So going right in, can you tell us a bit about your journey into tech? Like, how did you start? What motivated you to start? And just share like bits and pieces of when you started to where you are now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, my journey into tech is, there's nothing too paparazzi about it, but I'll start from somewhere. Yeah.
Okay.
So I studied electronic and computer engineering at university, and when I was about 200 level, I was starting to enjoy, starting to, when you're in school, you do more of all this theoretical thingy, where you're doing divide the X, 1+1, Fourier theorem, all those kind of things. But at the point, I felt like, there should be a way in which you can basically start doing something about what you want to, about your future. And for me, previously, before I entered university, I've always wanted to be a computer scientist. So then I got a laptop, 200 level, I got a laptop, and I started learning C++. That's the word. Then it was very, very boring, I can tell you. It was not making sense. What I mean by not making sense is that because C++ was really low level, and the learning curve for learning C++ is very, very long, sort of. So then I was writing things around console applications. I mean, like the boring stuff, basically. And I learned C++ up to like my 400 level, when there was a time where I was like, oh, when you get articles online and you see guys that are really doing interesting stuffs, that are building web applications, mobile apps, all these fine frameworks, I started hearing of them. But the thing about C++ is you can't really use C++ to do all these fine things, sort of, because C++ is like very low level. Okay, then I decided what is closest to C++ that could do all these shiny things. And the learning curve will basically be like an advancement of C++. Oh, then I found C#. C# is basically like a child of C++. Languages like C#, Java, and any C style language, basically. So I was able to quickly grasp C#, and it had very nice frameworks that you could use to write mobile apps, web apps, ASP.NET, Xamarin, different things that you could basically use to build shiny things. When I say shiny things, I mean all those, the way we have JavaScript today, start hearing of Angular, maybe tomorrow you hear of 3D.js or Iconic.js, something. So C# had a bit of that dynamic as of that time. So I started to learn C#. And then I think I've been building applications, but basically personal applications that I just look at and like, oh wow, this application is fine. I can do this on my own. It's really interesting. But then I think I built a voting platform one time with C#, with ASP.NET, JavaScript, HTML, just jam one or two things together. It was nice and successful, and I was happy. I think I got paid. That was the first time I ever got paid building an application. Anyone want to guess how much?
Okay, does anybody want to guess?
Okay, I already said
wow.
it.
Please, please, what year was this?
No, it wasn't.
Oh my God.
Funny thing was, it was still relatively quite early, like around 2014 or so.
But
still.
So
when I say 8K, it's more like, so you need to know who the client was. So the client was, we were having a departmental election sort of in my university that year.
Oh,
do you understand?
Okay.
So we just wanted to, try to do well. We are an engineering department. We should have something that depicts, we should do things differently instead of using paper and all.
Yeah.
So now they were my first clients. And I felt happy that I wrote something I got paid. Then after that, Well, that encouraged me a lot, the first project, and the fact that it was very successful. It was used by a lot of people. The fact that you build something and you see a lot of people using it and it works fine, there's this kind of satisfaction you get. Then after then, 500 level, I went on IT. Oh, 400 level, I went from IT, and I did my IT at before I forget. So remember I said I studied electronic and computer engineering, and most
Yeah.
of my schoolwork majorly revolves around things around telecoms. So things like IP networking, basically. So I did my heights, and I wasn't a bad student, sort of. So I did a lot of.
You're being modest.
I wasn't a bad student. I did a bit of networking, and well, at the point, I had the decision of at that point of my life, I had the decision of focusing fully on the networking part or focusing fully on the software part. Because there was a point I was like, oh, should I go for my what's the certification they do then, CCNA? And I'm like, okay, let me just wait till I'm very sure. Because for IP networking was a bit much more too what's it called? Repetitive. You are basically doing the same thing. So if you want to do it, so yeah, there's a bit of thinking around it, but it's basically almost the same thing all the time. So at the point it was becoming boring. So I did my IT, came back, I made the decision to, focus on software. And after university, I think I can remember my first IT. Am I saying too much? Have I answered the question? Sorry.
Yes, you are actually, but I would love for you to like relate it to tech in general because there are so many people here that they don't know anything about programming. So all the C plus plus, C sharp that you're saying doesn't make sense to some people.
Okay.
So like, yeah.
So I'll talk about fundamentally software engineering are in layers. So when I say layers, there is like the moment you have a piece of hardware, which is your typical computer, and programming a computer are in layers. What I mean by layers is you can decide to be writing um, softwares at different layers of the computer. There are some software engineers that their role is to basically write programs that make sure that your keyboard is working. There are some software engineers that ensure that their role is just to ensure that your speaker, basically, they interface with they write programs for the computer at a really low level. We call those kind of languages low level programming languages. That's where you have languages like the assembly languages and very low level languages, where you are writing languages in both in ones and zeros. And depending on the processors, depending on the processor your computer uses, the languages are different. What you use to program them are different. But then it got to a point where software engineers, people were like, okay, you need to start programming the computer at another level. Then you have some languages we call higher level programming language. And the first high level language that came around was C, C++. So C is a high level language, but it's still a bit much more closer to the machine compared to C++. So the difference between C and C++ is C is you can what's it called? Okay. C is functional. You write functional programming in C, while in C++ you write object-oriented programming. So when they started C, I don't know where to start with this, but so when C came along, people were basically writing functional programming. What I mean by functional programming is, when you want to write a program today, you write it in line by line. So they write them in chunks. What I mean by chunks is, okay, they can write a function to just do this, write a function to just do this, and then they just to perform a, let's say I want to use an ATM, for example. The first thing you do for an ATM is you put your PIN, it locks you in. Then you select something, maybe you want to withdraw. you want to withdraw, you call a method to withdraw. Those are examples of, that is a typical example of functional programming. But then there was this in the history of software engineering, there's the advent of object-oriented programming, where you model programs in like real-world objects. Basically, you try to you can write, so you start having things like classes, objects. So for example, I decide that I want to model a car in programming. You know that the car can move forward, it can move backward, you can open the door. Those actions, you model them, you model the car as an object. Am I saying too much, sort of? Is this okay?
Okay. Can you maybe like go a bit more broader, right? For
Okay,
example, some people, for example, are not programmers and they don't intend to be. So they are not even thinking about it at all. So like, for example, I am not even a programmer, but I work with software engineers. So people who are like managers, project managers, people who are hoping to go into digital marketing. I saw someone who just joined, and I know she's a designer, a UI UX designer, and all of that. So there are different people in different aspects of tech. So basically, what they hope to learn is, I think more of the quality part of your journey, like what qualities guided your journey, or what values guided your journey. Like, how did you go from where you were to where you are right now? And maybe you can talk a bit about the roadblocks you experience, in pursuing a career in tech. Everybody feels like tech is easy, maybe because it's been hyped. There's the trend is now tech, so people feel it's easy. And I've seen like different young people dropping out. They start something and they stop. They start another one and they stop, because they don't really know what is involved. So maybe we just talk a bit about those aspects of things. Why are you still there in tech? What is keeping you going? And how are you like making, progress, or making some successful, moves, in the industry?
Okay. Well, to start with that, for me, what inspired me into tech? I'll start from there. Well, for me, what inspired me into tech? I basically enjoy coupling things together, and I enjoy abstract thinking a lot. And I felt software engineering is one of the best career to utilize that particular skills that I have, that is thinking about things at a really abstract level. Now, to encourage anyone going into software engineering, now the first thing I think you should ask yourself is, why are you doing this? Why? The question is because if you really don't understand the why, the journey can be frustrating to an extent that if you don't make immediate progress, just like every typical thing you start with, if you don't make immediate progress, you start to feel frustrated. You start feeling frustrated, basically. And what I can say is, it is the why that gives you the inspiration to keep going, even when you are frustrated. Now, say if you are going into it to make money, awesome. There's money. You can really make a lot of money if you're a good software engineer. I can tell you that. If you are going into it because you enjoy it, awesome. But what I think you can do starting up with tech is to define, why are you doing this, actually. And okay, what else? What other question?
Roadblocks, challenges that you faced.
Okay, now, so for every new thing you learn, I can tell you there's challenges. And well, one of the major challenges you would experience in this space, especially as a Nigerian, is, so I can categorically tell you living outside Nigeria for a software engineer that is starting up is way more easier than someone in Nigeria, because first you have power issues, you have internet issues, and access to some kind of information is way much more easier. So let's say, for example, what I'm basically saying is, let's say you have someone in the US and someone in Nigeria, they want to learn software engineering. The person in Nigeria has to do way much more work to break into the space. Basically, first, you are fighting NEPA. And someone starting up with software engineering, you might not have a lot of money to be fueling your gen, or internet is very expensive, things like that. And another issue you might experience is I'll call it inspiration, because at some point, like I said earlier, you might get frustrated. There's the frustration part, and the part where also you need to get someone to sort of inspire you, to help you. Getting a mentor is also very important, because if you have someone that could, when you hit a roadblock or there's something you don't understand, there's someone you could easily, go and meet. I felt, well, when I was learning software engineering, I didn't have a lot of people around me that were software engineers. So it took way longer for me than if you have a mentor, because I felt if I had people around, but they were not very close to me. Like, they are like, let's say 2 or 3 days before I go to where they are, it's fine. So we just talk online. So I feel having a mentor, having someone physically available to help you navigate things is also very important, and determines how fast you can go in this space. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. I hope everybody is following. I know at first some people who are not in the software engineering space would have been like, man, what am I hearing? But one of the key things that I was able to pick from here is being able to really understand why you are doing what you're doing. I mean, this applies to every discipline. But funny thing is that most young people don't think in this manner. Yeah, you said it's good to have money as motivation, but I feel personally that money motivation may not always sustain you, especially in the phase where you are not yet making the money. I mean, you make the money at the beginning because you are just learning, and people can't hire somebody that doesn't know the job. So at the learning phase, you may not expect to make so much money. So it's important to like have a deeper sense of purpose. And if you want to learn about that, you can go watch the previous videos on YouTube channel of what we did last month. You will be able to understand how to define the purpose around this. And then getting a mentor or getting somebody to guide you. This is like so important. That's why we are having this session. So if you are trying to go into tech and you are trying to go at it alone, most likely you may give up because you don't have somebody who has hit certain milestones, or who has overcome the challenges that you most likely face, who can tell you that don't worry, don't sweat it, you are going to actually overcome. So you need somebody that's done that, and then you need to listen to them and learn from them. So Olamide, can you tell us a bit about your wins? Like, what are the major like big deal stuff that has happened for you in tech, so that people will be encouraged that they can actually make it in this.
Okay, wins.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my major wins was when I first got my first job. I was very happy. I'm very sincere with you. Like, I felt like, so I'll tell you the story of how I got my first job. So there was, I woke up one morning. So I was about leaving school. And I was like, oh, will anybody really, am I good enough to be a software engineer? Someone would be. Basically, so I was asking myself those kind of questions. I started submitting my applications online to a couple of companies. And there was this morning, I just got a call from a guy from the CTO of my first company. And the guy was like, hey, hi, I saw your application for this role. And he was like, okay, can I interview you right now? Okay. And I said, okay. I just woke up and it was like around 7 o'clock. But I think I should have asked him later on, why did you call me around 7 for a job interview? So we had an interview basically on call. He just asked me a couple of questions and I answered them, asked me like 4 or 5 more. I answered them, okay. And he said I did good. Then how much am I willing to collect? Personally, I was shocked. Then I told him, oh, I will call him back. Then I called him, gave him a number. Then he was like, okay, we'll call me back. And he called me back in the evening, told me he spoke with his CEO, and we came to a conclusion, and that was it. I was really happy. That was my first win. And from there, I think my next major win was when I got into Google. And when I got into Google, personally, when I applied to Google, I didn't think I was just, oh, these people that work at Google, how, now people they work for Google. That was just a impression. You guys, so I just sort of like, I applied, not consciously. Those kind of moments when you are just exploring and seeing people that you want to be like online, or people you aspire to be, or the kind of position you aspire to be. So I just decided to apply randomly. I got a call from an interviewer like a couple of weeks later. I was shocked. Oh, someone reviewed my application, because people, from what I've seen so far, like people in the past used to say when you apply to Google, especially from Nigeria, most likely they won't even get back to you. It seems like nobody reviews your CV.
Wow.
You get, so it was really shocking. Someone reviewed my CV. I went through the process. As I was going through the process, I didn't even think. I was just, that mindset like, oh, it doesn't hurt. Let's just, whatever happens, let it happen. And eventually I got in. I was happy. Yeah, and that was
it. How easy was that process, though?
Oh man. Okay. Well, that's another big question. Okay. That's another big question. So how did I start interviewing for FANGs? Because interviewing for FANG, what I call FANG are basically a group of companies that are very popular. Companies like Google. FANG is Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. But now they've named them now to, I think Microsoft. Microsoft is there. So their interview process is a bit much more tougher than what's it called? The typical companies you would go to, because they ask questions that are a bit way more low level. They don't ask you about frameworks in their interviews. They don't ask you about Angular. They don't ask you about React. They don't ask you to build web applications. So what most of them basically usually ask are the fundamentals of software engineers, which are questions that revolve majorly around data structures and algorithms. So, okay, before I talk about my preparation level for that, so there was this time on LinkedIn, a lady reached out to me from Amazon. That was, I think of it like a year and a half before I got my Google, before I applied to Google. A lady from Amazon reached out to me, sort of like, oh, they want to have an hiring event in Lagos. Not the new one, because this one was in the past. They wanted to have an hiring event, and she would like me to apply, sort of. Oh, I was excited. Amazon reached out to me on LinkedIn to come and apply. I was happy. Then I applied. We started the process, and during that process, I started learning, because I'd read up on all these FANG interviews. I started, brushing up algorithm and data structures, things like that, things I need to know, and I had very little time. But during that, when I was preparing for that interview, I realized that I started enjoying actually learning algorithm and data structure. Because I can tell you that part of programming is very boring. But when you start solving, it's like it's like solving a puzzle in a way, like actually doing the thinking part. It's very easy to just building web apps are easy, building mobile apps in a way are very easy. But when you start actually thinking of real life problems, when you talk about optimizing for how many people can sit in a car, in a bus, where can someone sit, questions that are very totally abstract. So I started learning them. They came to Amazon came to Nigeria. We did the interview. I'm happy to tell you that I failed woefully, by the way. Now, what did I learn from that experience? I realized from that experience that there's still a lot to learn. There's still another level to, you know, there's still a lot to learn, basically. That's what I realized, especially in the area of data structures and algorithm. Then after then, that went away. But then I started doing a lot of data structures and algorithm at my spare time. Just trying to, because I already enjoyed it. So I have a couple of friends that we do this weekly thing together, where we just, like I said, have set of people you interact with, have mentors, have friends that can push you. So I had this group of people that we talk, we chat, and we just basically talk around data structures and algorithm. Someone brings up a question, a problem, everybody tries to solve it without checking the internet. That was before I now applied to Google. So that was it. Anything, and to encourage you also, those set of people, two of them are in Google now. Two of those guys, we are like 6 or 7. Two of them are in Google. Two of them are in Microsoft. One is in Palantir. It's a UK company, almost as big as Google and Facebook also. So what I can say is I encourage you to find your own circle. Do you understand? Just find your own circle.
Okay, thank you for that. And I think one of the things I was able to pick, it's not about being handed the opportunity. I mean, just like you were invited. People get excited when they get somebody on LinkedIn, and they do that. Recruiters do that a lot. Like they'll just chat you up on LinkedIn. But to really get like international opportunities, one thing I've also learned this from, I think, another software engineer friend of mine. And it is that these companies, compared to Nigerian companies, they are not really so much about the skill. In fact, they might not reach out to you, or you may not even get to that interview phase if you don't even have the skill. But at the phase where they are trying to interview you, they are trying to examine your thinking process. They want to ensure that you are intelligent and you can actually solve real problems. So it's not about, in Nigeria's educational system, they teach us a lot of theoretical things, copy and paste kind of model, but they don't teach us how to think. They don't teach us how to apply, what we've learned to solve problems, not just be building software or building applications, but rather to solve a problem. So I feel like this is something that everybody needs to take note of. Whatever aspect of tech you are taking, ensure that at every junction, on whatever you learn, try to apply it to real life problems. And Nigeria is like the best place to solve problems because you can find problems everywhere you turn. So just, okay, how does this that I've learned, how does it apply to a problem in my environment? And then you start thinking, and that way you can actually build pathways within your brain to solve problems. And then when you are now faced with this kind of opportunities, interviews, and people out there who are not within the Nigerian kind of system, Westerners, they are thinkers, basically. And that's just their culture. And then you are able to, you're able to make a success, from that opportunity. We spent time a lot, but can you briefly talk about, is it a myth or a truth that tech is profitable? And if it is, what can make tech profitable for a person? How can you make money, basically?
Well, what I can say to you is, I don't know how to put this. Well, yeah, I can tell you tech is profitable. There's a lot of money in tech everywhere in the world, not just in Nigeria. But what I can say is it depends on, don't just be carried away by the money, one. But to make money, just be a good software engineer. That's just the word. Think about it this way, making money in tech. Think about it this way. Your level of skills determines the kind of companies you can go to. And the kind of companies you can go to determine how much you earn, even in Nigeria. Because there are some companies in Nigeria, their interview processes also differs a lot. There are some companies that are easy to get to. There are some companies that are you need to be at a particular level to get into those kind of companies. So what I can tell you is Just keep developing yourself as a software engineer. Keep developing. Now, there might be a point where you feel like, especially if you are not getting a lot of money at the beginning, calm down, don't worry. Just keep solving problems. Eventually, when you keep solving problems, the kind of problems you will be solving as you move from one level to another. There's this concept in life that people say problem is equals money, and it's very true. The harder the problem, the more money you make. Really, the harder the problem, the more money you make in life generally. So just keep advancing yourself as a software engineer. Keep learning. There are a lot of articles online, and follow the trend. I wouldn't say follow the trend. How do I put it? You don't have to follow the trend, but you don't have to know everything, but know about everything. It's a very tricky thing, but more like if you are a back-end engineer, be very good as a back-end engineer. Be extremely good, but know about front-end engineering, basically. Know about UI, UX. Know a bit, I would advise you know a bit about everything. You get, have a specialization, but know a bit about every other thing, because it also helps you to, because when you're working as a software engineer, you don't work in silos. You work in a team. It helps you to be a better software engineer. It helps you to be a better backend engineer, because you can see things from the perspective of the front-end engineer. You can see things from the perspective of the UI UX person, or from the product person, basically. I think, yeah, did I answer that?
Yeah, tech is profitable, basically.
It's very profitable. But be a good software engineer. Because now, so there's also the part where, I forgot to mention this, but there's also the part where you can, now, there's something about tech, you can scam your way to the top. By mistake. What I mean by scam your way to the top is, you might not be a very good software engineer. Do you understand? If you are not a very good software engineer, and because you can keep changing job. And the way it is in Nigeria is, when you want to go to another company, just let them, they'll ask how much were you earning before. Do you understand? They'll ask how much you were earning before, or something. You want to collect money above what you are earning before, basically. And you can, maybe after every 6 months, you can decide to move. The money will keep increasing. But what I can tell you is, eventually it will catch up. Because at a point, you will be required to do the job. And I can categorically tell you, I've seen people that have been employed as head of something, especially on LinkedIn. If you go on LinkedIn, you will see a lot of, head of this, head of that. And when you actually really interact with them, you realize that these people are not very skilled. So what I'm just basically trying to tell you is, be the real thing. Do you understand? Whatever you are doing, if you're a UX person, be the real thing. Like, be original. Don't hype your level, and don't underhype your level. At whatever level you are, accept yourself. I am at this level. I am not here. I'm not at this level yet. Eventually, keep learning, keep pushing. You'll get there.
Okay, awesome. So, okay, how can people who have been in tech, or people who are just trying to start out, like, how do you think they can gain access to opportunities, both learning opportunities and then internships and then jobs? So what places, or if you have examples of communities they can join online, or places they can begin to look at, or methods they can begin to use just to gain access to those opportunities, can just share. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know I was on mute. One thing I can tell you is, well, getting opportunities is just, I mentioned something earlier about knowing a bit about everything. What I mean by knowing a bit about everything is be active, don't work in silo. Like, especially if you're on Twitter, LinkedIn, know the what do they call it? The movers and the shakers of the industry. LinkedIn is there. Go to sites like Stack Overflow. Do you understand? By the side, Stack Overflow is a platform for when you have a programming problem and you are trying to solve, you don't know the answer, either programming, UI, UX, you can, I don't need the support UI, UX, but at least I know for programming, you can just go there, search the problem, but by the side, they have a list of opportunities there, companies that are currently recruiting. But apart from that, if you're on sites like I said, which is why I said, be socially engaging, if there's a word like that. There's also LeetCode. So LeetCode is like a platform, is a website for, I can just type it out. LeetCode. LeetCode is a website for solving algorithm questions. But underneath, there's a part where you see there's a discussion, what's it called, panel. Under that discussion part of the website, you'll see a lot of people talking about their different applications to companies that you don't even know exist. You get, you see a lot of people talking about maybe their interview with Google, their interview with Amazon, their interview with one company like that, Goldman Sachs. Basically, things that just basically exposes you to how wide the industry is. I think from that, you should get opportunities, you should be on the lookout. And you can, if there's a company you feel like you like working for, go to their career site, check careers. And I can tell you, most companies are always recruiting for software engineers. Just apply. If you think the skill set they are what's it called? If you think the skill set that they are looking for matches your skill set, apply. And one thing I can tell you, especially if you're in university, is I wish I knew this when I was in university, but so I'm giving you this information, is that there are some companies that they take a lot of internship students. They do a lot of international companies that take interns from Nigeria, software interns. And they've been doing it over the years. And very few schools have this particular information. So the schools that usually have this information are people from Covenant and Unilag, basically. But you are here now, so I'm giving you this information. Just search for companies like Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, London, Goldman Sachs, London. All those companies, they are always doing this summer internship. I think their last batch would have closed now because they just announced that they've, when their new summer interns come, they usually announce it. And I know a lot of people that after the internship, they've gone back there to work. They are full-time employees now. So be on the lookout for internships from Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and I'll try to collect other lists too. But there are a lot of companies that accept interns from Nigeria. Google, Facebook, yeah. Google also take interns. Facebook take interns. Amazon take interns. Amazon, I've not heard a lot of interns at Amazon, but Facebook and Google, I've seen a lot of people that have gone to Google for internship.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, one can find this on their website, like career section of their website. Okay.
Yes, you can just apply there.
Okay. So so in view of that, like what can really qualify like people for such opportunities? We've talked about skills. Is there anything else that can make people really qualified for these opportunities apart from the skills, which is obvious?
For internship, they do an interview also for this internship. You get, so intern at Google, you do an interview. For what's it called? Goldman Sachs, they even do a written exam, like a computer-based exam. I know they used to do it in Unilag and Covenant, where you go to a particular place, they ask you actually, the way you do it. If anyone has done GRE or IELTS before, you do written exam for companies like Goldman Sachs and Bank of America, Facebook, Amazon, and the likes. You actually do internships. Pre-COVID, before COVID, they used to have this. So what they do is, before COVID, the way their interview work for interns is that you apply. They will ask you some. Someone will probably call you personally, give you a very small problem to solve. If you're able to solve it, then they will do an offsite. The offsite is usually they'll take you to a Google office, an engineering Google office. This was before Google. Most times they take them to either Switzerland or the nearest Google office. They fly you there to take the interview, actually, as
Wow.
an intern. Yes.
Seriously.
Yeah. Until COVID happened. When COVID happened, then everything had to be, they do everything online. But since COVID has passed, now they realize that it's cheaper to continue doing it online. You understand?
Okay, some people would have used that opportunity to jackpot. Wow.
No. You still come back. No, if you pass, they give you an offer and you get an intern. Whatever office, because these companies have offices all over the world. They have offices in different locations in the world, and they just assign you to one of their offices.
Okay. So basically, being prepared for things like interviews can also help. Wow. But I would have gone to the next question, but I don't know. Do you have experience in freelancing? I know you are majorly talking from a software engineer's perspective, or in general in tech. I know freelancing is like a major is a gig economy, basically. So everybody is just doing gigs up and down. And even if they have a full-time job, some people are running gigs. So what can you say about freelancing and how it can help somebody's tech career, basically?
Okay, freelancing. Well, you want to make extra money, and you feel so. One of the things you should also be aware of in tech is to not burn out, because at a point when you get to a level where, especially in this remote job space where everyone is doing remote work, now it's easy to work for two or more companies, and it's very easy for you to burn out. Yeah, you can get a lot of freelance opportunity on companies like Fiverr online. Just type any freelancing site. There's a lot of them, and there are some companies that they just want to hire you to do a job. There was this company I worked with one time. I didn't really work for them. It was more like a freelance. They wanted to build software for what do they call this thing? Doors. All these automated doors.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could take those kind of jobs it's free money. Money is good. If you think it's not going to disturb your normal what's it called? Your normal working hours, especially if you're working for a company. But I wouldn't advise you to take freelancing as a full-time thingy. What I mean by full-time thingy is working only as a freelancer and not working for a company. Sorry, I muted by mistake. I feel to learn more and to grow, because freelancing, when you are freelancing, there's no space for learning. Because you're basically like a contractor. I'm contracting this job to you. It is expected that you already have knowledge of the job. But when you are working for a company, there's a concept of you are growing from levels to levels, so you can learn. You can learn from people that are a bit much more experienced than you. You get. I'm not saying you shouldn't do freelancing, but do freelancing to an extent that you are comfortable with in terms of your workload, and ensure that it doesn't disturb your normal working. And also, if you have a brilliant idea to start a company, please explore. But what I can tell you is don't, what's the word? When you want, I don't want to talk about that so much, but if you feel like you have an idea, you want to start something, focus on it, do it, but try as much as possible for you, especially if you are someone that you are not in school and you have a bit of, you know, what's the right word? You are someone that has responsibilities financially, because when you are doing entrepreneurial stuff, you might not be making money at the beginning. Or when you have a lot of savings, you have savings that can, run you through, that is, you are able to pay yourself through the development process of when you are trying to start a new company also. Or you can get investors also. You have someone that is willing to give you a lot of money.
You went on mute again.
Oh, sorry, that's another way to go.
Okay. Okay. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat so that we can treat it. We are almost wrapping up here. Okay, I can see someone has asked like a couple of questions on YouTube, but before we go there, can you, I know we've talked about this already, but can you touch a bit on when should a person begin to think of opportunities, like international opportunities, basically, whether it is an internship or a job? Like, is there like a time when you can get to that point where you feel you are qualified for international opportunities? And if, whatever the case may be, what is really the deal breaker, for gaining these international opportunities? What will be the deal breaker?
International opportunities. There's no particular time you should be looking for international opportunities. Because international opportunities also, they are in levels. What I mean by, they are also employing you per level. Some people might be employing you junior, some people are employing interns, some people are employing seniors. You get, some people are employing juniors. So what I can tell you is, eliminate the concept of international opportunity and local opportunity. Just think about it as opportunity generally, because I feel in the tech space there's really no border in a way these days.
Sure.
There's really no border if you look at it. Now Amazon is coming to Nigeria to pack all the software engineers. I saw the recent adverts. So there's really no, because the skill set is not localized. It's not a local skill. It's in, and the good thing about software engineering is the demand is more than the supply.
So basically, there's a talent gap.
There's talent, like a very wide talent gap, and there's still a lot of things to be built in the world. Okay, so there's always opportunity. It just depends on what is the company looking for, what's like skills matching. What are they looking for? What do you have?
Someone is asking that, what did you say Amazon is coming to do?
So Amazon is expanding their talent search base to Nigeria. You can check their website. I saw it like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So basically, they want to have an hiring event in Nigeria. And I saw it on Twitter. Most Nigerian CEOs, they were thinking of this, because Amazon actually announced the date that they'll be doing the hiring event. Hiring event basically means they are doing mass interview. They probably invite a lot of people to you get a conference room, they interview you guys one by one after you've applied. So most CEOs are contemplating on ensuring that their employee are busy on that day. So you can be on the lookout for that. Because if the employee is So they plan to do most of one CEO said he wants to do a retreat where he takes all of his employees to a place where he
Oh,
maybe
I.
take them to a really nice retreat, spend unlimited spending, unlimited everything. You get so that
Wow.
that tell you how scarce engineering resources is
Mm.
and how highly rated Nigerian engineers are. Do you
But do you think
understand?
this is only limited to like software engineers? Like,
No,
are
no,
there other
no, no,
aspects
no,
of
no, no,
tech?
no. Yes, yes. So there's this guy I know. He's very popular on Twitter. Can follow him. We are not very close. I just know him from far. His name is, I think his Twitter name is Bezos. He's a product designer. He's working. He just got an offer with Facebook, product designer. Do you understand? Talent is what's it called? Talent is not localized. Whether you're a UI UX person, product manager, if you're in tech and you have the necessary skill sets, you can apply. So, and what I can tell you is, if you have a particular set of skills and you look at the job role and you see that, oh, I have this skill set, apply. The worst they can tell you is no,
Mm.
right? That's the
Mhm.
worst they can tell you. Or what? You get a yes.
Yeah.
That's the worst that can happen.
Wow. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So, guys, if you have any questions, please drop it in the chat. Somebody is asking like some questions on YouTube, and okay, let me just ask the first two. The person has dropped like 3 questions already. So the first one says, is us trying to say that if you are trying to be a software engineer, which one do you advise? Which one do you advise him to go for? Is it back end or front end? And then, what's the cost of learning to be a software engineer? I don't know whether he's asking about. I don't think he's asking about the monetary amount. Maybe what it takes to become a software engineer. So yes, let's handle that first.
I think I'll start from the cost of being a software engineer. Well, what I can say is it depends on, I don't know, can you ask the person what is the person's background? Because the cost
Okay.
can differ extremely based on your background.
Okay, that is like if the person already has like a background in maybe computer science or engineering.
Exactly. Do you
Okay.
understand? It totally
Yeah.
depends on your background because so I'll talk if you are coming from a totally something that is not very close to computers, maybe biology. Well, I can tell you it can be a bit the learning curve might be steep, like very long, in the sense that you have to, because what I realize most people do is they do a so there are two ways to learn. Most times it is advisable you learn from bottom to the top. But what most people do
Okay.
these days is they go to all these computer science, all these schools online that teach. But what they basically teach you is things that have to do with, oh, learn HTML, learn JavaScript. Do you understand? But the fundamentals on which all these things are based on, yeah, you can learn those things and be very good at them. But those things you have a glass ceiling.
Mm.
What I mean by a glass ceiling is there are some companies that will require you to have in-depth knowledge of some fundamental computer science concepts. Now, so what I advise people to do is when you are learning, when you go to all these schools, yes, learn them, understand them, but take the extra, what's it called? Extra step of digging deep, researching the actual field.
Mm.
Learn the fundamentals well. They are very important. Most of these schools will probably not teach you the fundamental, which is why I said the fundamentals, computer science students will probably, because that is what they are studying in university, the fundamentals.
Mm.
Do you understand? They already have those knowledge on that easily. So it's very easy for them to, move along the area of computer science programming. And especially the fact you hear people say programming is not really about the language. Do you understand? You can see someone that only writes C++ and can do a lot of things. Have you ever imagined those people that write codes that powers rockets to space? The kind of software engineering that they are doing compared to someone that is just writing websites. Now, you need those fundamentals to be able to get to the level of doing some actual, they call them bare metal programming, where you can actually interact at a very low level with the computer and actually you actually understand why this is going this way. Like precise and accurate programming, basically. So what I would advise is, if you are new to tech, it can be very overwhelming learning a lot of things, but take it one step at a time. And there's this saying that software engineers are learners. Even while on the job, you keep learning. You are always learning, always reading articles, which is why I said put yourself out there, be online. That's the word. When I say be online, I'm not saying be on Instagram or Twitter. Do you understand? You can be on Twitter because there are a lot of tech communities on Twitter. Again, but be online. There are some blogs, a lot of things, what is currently happening, what is the latest hardware, best hardware, what is Google currently doing with AI, things like that. And so let's say, for example, so let me give you a workflow of a typical learning process. You read an article, oh, Google is currently advancing their TensorFlow program. Oh, what is TensorFlow? Then you keep asking yourself, what is TensorFlow? Then you go back, you research. Oh, okay, this is TensorFlow. What are the algorithms that TensorFlow uses? You know, that way you are coming from the top to bottom. You are driving down the learning chain to sort of understand why some things, where all these innovations come from. Yeah. Did I answer that question?
Yes. I want to like drive home a point that you made, and this actually applies to all disciplines in tech.
Yes.
You have to be a consistent learner and understand the fundamentals. You know, most of us are just used to the Nigerian academics way of la cram la for. So we don't understand the concept of applications. We don't understand the concept of going back to the bottom of things to understand why is this thing like this, and how is it relevant, you know, in this particular niche or to solve this particular problem. So I feel like that's something that everybody needs to take note of. But the person was also asking that if he wants to go into software engineering, should he start with back end or front end? Like, is there any?
I actually really don't know how to answer that question personally. Because there is no yes or no. There is no answer to, there is no. Okay. Now, I think I probably want to ask this person this question before I answer them. Do you want to be that person that? So, okay, I'll describe back-end engineers. I'll define front-end engineers. Back-end engineers are basically people that are what's it called? You know those people that are working, but you don't know they are working. But the front-end engineers are those people that they will design the shiny things. You look at it, it's fine. This thing is really nice. Those are the people you are seeing doing the work. But the back-end powering that UI, you are not seeing them. They are the people working at the background. So it totally depends on your preference. But what I can say categorically is, don't think of software engineering if you want to really be a good software engineer. Don't think of software engineering. So don't think of software engineer. Don't think of software engineering as back-end and front-end yet. Sorry.
Okay.
Don't think of it that way yet. This is just my own piece of advice, because in the real sense, the concept of back-end and soft and front-end is the concept of you are programming for a UI, you are programming for something that doesn't have a UI. You can learn software engineering without being at least for starting purpose, you can be a software engineer without being a front-end engineer, a back-end engineer, at least learning phase. Because you are just learning software engineering. Just learn fundamental things like what is the database, software design patterns. Those things are applicable both to a front-end engineer and a back-end engineer. Then when you've learned those things, then you can decide to either be a front-end engineer, a back-end engineer, and you can be both. It's
Okay,
just
that would
learning
take
what you want to learn.
That would take me to go a bit more general. And somebody asked that question. She said something around, if you are new to tech, how do you know exactly where to start from? Like, how do you know which discipline? You know, there are several things you can do in tech. So do you have like this method that you already know, or that you can advise people on how to select which part of tech to, you know, to start going into or to start learning about?
Is this just pertaining to software engineering or other
No,
aspects of tech?
generally, other aspects of tech too.
For me, this is what I would say. To make it easier for the person, first consider your background. If you have a background in business, maybe you did something around accounting, there are some part of software engineering that I feel product management and stuff like that will be way much more easier for you to go into. If you are coming from a, let's say you're an architect, you studied architecture, you can look at things like UI UX because it will be easy for you. Sort of. You are coming from and if you like beautiful things, you have some people generally, they know how to mix colors. If you are good at painting, mixing colors together, and some people are just naturally skilled at some, matching colors together. Again, you should consider doing things around UI UX. If you are good at things relating to arts, consider UI UX. If you are, if you come from a scientific background, what I mean by scientific, biology, I think you should probably consider being a software engineer if you actually want to go into tech, or you can decide if you are coming from maybe medical line, please be a doctor. Do you understand? So you can have more doctors, please. So we don't want all our doctors to go, please.
All the doctors are already jackpine. Okay.
Yeah.
But obviously, I want to add something to that, and it's that no matter where you're coming from, just ensure that you understand where you want to go in, what you want to go into. Like, don't go into it blindly. So understand what it takes, understand what it's going to take from you, understand the effort you may need to put into it, and be interested in it. If you are not interested in it at the basic level, just know that no matter where you get to, you will not be able to sustain, your movement in that line. Please, if you have questions, you can still drop one more question. But this person asked another question, and it was, I think what he's trying to drive at is there like a platform that you can go check, platforms that gives a learn to earn opportunity? Maybe they would teach you and then they will employ you. I know there are several, but do you have any, that you can recommend?
Hold on, sorry. I'm trying to think. Learn to earn.
So maybe like training, and then they give you an internship opportunity, or they place you in a job or something like that.
There is one, but I'm trying to remember the name. 1 minute. Wait, hold on. Just give me a minute, please. Let me search them out.
So guys, if you have questions, I think we can make room for one more question because we have exceeded our time already.
1 minute, please. I'm still trying to find it. Yeah. This Stuten.
Okay.
Stuten. I think Stuten is an accelerator. and you can learn, and then they'll place you, because when I was working with Carbon, we had some of their students come for internship, and I can tell you one of their students now is working for Flutterwave. One of the people in their student that came
Wow.
over there works for Flutterwave, and so she's a UI UX, and she earns good money. Okay. But the thing about, so what I try to tell people about all these companies that place you an internship is, now you need to be very careful. Why? Because most of these companies, the way they do it is, oh, okay, I think they have two parts. You can, because they are paid for, you have to pay. You have to pay money. What I mean by pay is they have two mode of payment. You can decide to pay them fully, but then they can ask you that, oh, pay this amount. When you get a job, you will be, they'll be taking a percentage of your salary.
Your salary.
And it will have interest. I wouldn't advise anyone to do something like that, because I feel it's a form of why. Well, there are some old schools that offer scholarships, like if you are very, like I said, be online.
Okay.
There's this school called Alt School.
What did you call it?
Alt School.
Alt School. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Decagon does that also. Yeah, I can testify to that. Alt School,
I also know of. Let me put it there. Yeah, someone just put it, ALX. Awesome. Yes, okay. ALX does that too. You can go to alxafrica.com.
Yeah, and on Alt School, a lot of people on Twitter, because Alt School is quite popular on Twitter, Nigerian tech community, and a lot of people some random people just decide that they want to sponsor like 5 of their students for scholarships. Do you understand? It's just randomly. Sometimes they'll just say, oh, someone has just paid for 20 people to study at Alt School, which is why I said be online. And there are some, what's it called? What's the name of this? There's Udemy, and there's also Udacity. Udacity has scholarships from time to time. Udacity. Udacity has scholarships from time to time. Did I answer that question?
Yes, I think that's like enough platforms for the person to explore. Somebody asked a question, which will be the last question before my final question, and it is, it said, what are the main concepts and fundamentals of software programming that it needs to know to become a better software engineer? Like main concepts and fundamentals. Main concepts and fundamentals of software programming that it needs to know to become a better software engineer.
First thing I can tell you is learn data structures and algorithms, because it will guide your thinking in how you write your code and how you think about performance of your softwares, and also you should explore design patterns. So what are design patterns? So over the years, software engineers, the people that have, real people that started software engineering, over the years, the experience gathered in software engineering, they've been, conceptualized into patterns that have proven to work over the years. So you don't need to start doing, so let's say you want to solve a problem. There's a particular design pattern that can be used for that problem that is best suited, that has been tested by everyone in the world. So, and there's also, you can check design patterns. I'll type it here on some design patterns. There's a principle called solid principles. There's a principle called dry. And there's a principle called KISS. And check them out. So solid principle is a set of solid, is the abbreviation. S stands for something, O stands for something, L stands for something, I stands for something, and this stands for something. Dry principle this don't repeat yourself. Please keep it simple. So there are some basic things. Just think of them like laws. That this is just for software engineering right now, not laws that guide you in while writing your code, basically.
Okay. Okay, I believe that was well answered. Thank you so much for the time. So one final question. You've answered a part of it, but can you come up with like 3 key things that people trying to go into tech should keep in mind, especially when they are searching for opportunities? Like, what are the three key things they should, put at the forefront of their minds?
When you are looking for opportunity, you'll get a lot of no. But you only need one yes. That's the most important thing I can tell you. You only need someone to just see. You only need someone to just, even you might not be very good. That's what I'm trying to tell you at the beginning. Again, but you only need someone that can actually, you only need a company that can, because anybody employing an intern or a junior software engineer today is making a bet on you. Thinking about it from the business of the company, oh, this person, okay, if we employ this person, might not be delivering much, he's doing some part of our job, but we have believed that if this person can grow. So don't take the no's personal. If the company says they are not employing you or you get the no, don't take it personal. You get, there are a lot of companies out there.
Yeah.
And believe in yourself, because you might get frustrated when you keep getting no's, and you can get a lot of no's. But don't take it personal. You get, just keep applying. Trust me. I tell people there's something that works better than the best people in the world are the people that are consistent. Be consistent. That's the most important advice I can give you as a tech person. In any aspect of tech you are going into, be consistent. What I mean by consistent is every day, keep pushing, keep learning. Don't, if something happens, what's it called? There are a lot of times that, especially if you, let's say you work in a company, I've heard of stories where you work in a company, maybe a junior engineer or something, and you see people bashing you that which rubbish code did you write? It is normal. Do you understand? You need those kind of, what's it called? Those people are, I'm not saying they are right. Do you understand? It's not that they are right. They could have done it in a better way to mentor you to be better, but you don't decide how people react to things. It's just like you going to learn something at a workshop. So let's say you are learning carpentry at a workshop. There will be a time you do rubbish and your guy will tell you that you do rubbish. Do you understand? It's part of the learning process.
Yeah.
Don't take the notes personal. Just take it as this is where I am. You get, be open for feedback. Don't try to form that, oh, you know too much, you know everything. I can tell you, even the best of the best people in the world, do you understand? There's still someone better than them somewhere. Which is why software engineering, don't think of it like, because no one can really know it all. Even in UI UX, because things are changing very fast. Things change very fast. Even what you think you know today is changing tomorrow. You get, so don't take the notes personal. Be very open for feedbacks, especially negative feedbacks. I'll be very professional about it. So really help a lot.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's been it's been quite an insightful time, and I really hope everybody has been able to learn 1 or 2 things during this an hour and some minutes session. Can we appreciate our guests for spending his time, with us today? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Olamide. Really appreciate your time and effort.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and thank you everybody for joining. Thank you. I hope to get feedbacks. You can send me a mail. You can send me a WhatsApp message if you have my number, just to see how this has really helped you and what has happened for you. I started a mentoring session last month, and the mentees in my first cohort are about done. I might open up another opportunity soon, but unfortunately, I've actually been getting other people, coming unofficially. So it's my lengthening the time between when I can open the next session. But in this mentoring sessions, I basically try to bring people who are relevant to your own particular discipline in tech to speak with you. So I don't do all the mentoring. So you can watch out for when I'm going to, open the next cohort, for applications. And if you have any questions, you can always send it by mail. If it's not related to my own specific discipline, I can connect you with whoever you need to get connected with to be able to get answers to your question. The major thing is that you are not doing yourself. That's like what you just have to ensure. You don't spend so much time, or you don't waste so much time, merry-go-rounding or trying to test this and that. And then at the end of the day, you are not even a master of anything. So be on the lookout for opportunities. Don't keep to yourself. Can you just type some of the key things that stood out for you? You can put it here. You can put it on your social media. You can share the links to the YouTube live stream, because it will be on YouTube. I'm going to leave it there so that you can go rewatch if you have to. And so basically, thank you, everybody. I don't want to keep you here any longer. Have a nice night, if you are in my time zone. So thank you so much, Olamide. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your night. Bye.